Black and brown people have not trusted mental health. We
Sure.
don't know how to put words to what's happening, and words are
Right.
so powerful, and we can heal through that. So that's a huge part of my why.
Shahid, you want to go next, brother Shahid? You want to go ahead?
I appreciate the invitation, Pastor. As you said earlier, Dr. Logan, there is a mistrust there because there's equally so a mistreatment, right? That's either driven by racism and the mistreatment, misdiagnosing, and the incarceration of, folks who are copper, black, people of color, whatever it is that they would coin us as. In any time frame, our mental health was usually leveraged against us to really be the basis of the science and laws that existed to enslave us.
Right.
It was considered a disorder to want to be free, to run, to flee, all those things. It was a disorder to not want to be anything other than what a white slave master wanted you to be.
Yeah.
And that's the genesis of this industry. And go figure, with that genesis, we don't account for all the hurts, the pains, everything that's inhumane that's gone into this. And mind you, what I'm saying isn't like, that's the way it is for everyone. It's just my reflection.
Such wonderful answers to that question. I guess for me, guys, it's I'm coming from a Christian point of view because I'm a pastor of a church. But I'm gonna tell you the mistake that our people make. They think that you can just pray mental illness away. You can't. You can't. There's no indication you just pray something away. If we study the Bible, if we study the life of Christ, I'm a believer, I'm a Christ follower, there's always some action that had to take place before the healing and before the miracle. But when Brother Shahid said that it was viewed as a mental illness to want to be free, right? So if I flip that, let me ask this question now. Like, is it a mental illness? Do you guys think it's part of a mental illness to want to be accepted by them in the worst way? Because I never really have, but because I didn't, I was always unruly. They called me unruly. They called me angry. And so with all of that, and in raising black males in my family, and now my grandkids are going through that. They have this desire to be accepted by this culture, by this people that really don't. If you can't dribble a basketball or catch a football or sing or dance, they're not really worried about your intellectual properties and how intelligent you can be. But Bro Shahid, when you said that, man, that it was considered a mental illness to want to be free, they still think there's something wrong with that.
Pastor Graves, if I may, I hear you pose the question, is it crazy to want to stay or be a part? And I go one above that, and that I think it's colonial.
Yeah.
When we think racism and its effects, and its dehumanizing effects and so many things, racism is still a tool. You know what I mean? There's a whole shed in which that tool has come from. And I feel it's colonization, and colonization it doesn't look good, feel good, and it's inhumane for any that are the perpetrators of it or those who wind up experiencing it as victims or whatever the case may be. It distracts us, I feel, or I believe, from acknowledging that, it can't heal the pain that it's caused. It's going to take us returning to a certain way of actually being with each other. Something that, again, that was said by you, Dr. Logan, was this idea of permission. Imagine us being from cultures that heavily relied upon being seen, being brought into life, being given permission. And then when you fundamentally deprive people of that really crucial and critical cultural value, spiritual value, they're lost.
Yeah.
the word that comes to mind is validation. And it's important for us to give ourselves permission to try to find what our words are, to name what's happening,
Yeah.
because it happens all the time and we're told it's not real. And it is real. We don't need that validation, I think.
For me, I get a chance to watch people heal together, and that's because we don't brush things under the rug. If a brother or sister are struggling in any area, let's talk about it. Let's deal with it. Let's try to point you in the right direction. I just think that our healing, our mental healing, is not something that can be done alone. All of these things that we're talking about, we've never talked about before. And that's what's celebratory about this conversation, is that now we can be better parents, we can be better grandparents, we can be better aunts and uncles. We can say, wait a minute, they need this conversation right now. Because I remember when I needed it and it wasn't available. And so that, I think that's the beginning part of us really recognizing the village is going to have to take part of it. You have to be in a community of people to really help us get to that place to where we are dealing with our mental illness and are becoming mentally healthy as we're walking this journey and in this journey of life. So
Exactly, because that's what we were taught, that it was something to be ashamed of. We were taught to, just be ashamed, and it was when you think about the name calling, crazy, cuckoo, nuts, who wants to be called that? So what do? We keep our mouths closed, we don't say anything. And the dangerous part is that we feel like if we don't say anything about it, if we don't think about it, push it back one time, it'll go away. But it resurfaces in other things that are not very good. So we have to really pay attention. We know that our faith can be a source of strength. And for the most part, that's what we do. We turn to our faith when we're struggling. That's what we do. But it can also be a place where stigma shows up as well. I often wonder why people are more likely to go to the altar and ask for prayer for a physical condition, but least likely to go to the altar and ask for prayer if they're struggling with their mental health. 1 in 5 people sitting in the pews in church are dealing with a mental health condition, either themselves or a family member, and they're sitting there suffering in silence. So those are some things that we need to think about. And like I said earlier, we can have these community conversations that can change the trajectory of the future and how we deal with mental health issues.
So I want to ask a question before we move on. Why do you think, as Ms. Leola said, why do you think people would go to the altar and ask for prayer when it comes to a physical condition and not a mental health condition? We want to hear from you guys. We don't want to be the only one up here talking. So why do you think that is? Yes?
I mean, a physical condition is like can be explained by just like natural causes or whatever, but if you're dealing with something mentally, a lot of times we take it as, well, I'm not strong enough in my faith, or I'm not believing enough, and something's wrong with me.
Very good. So another hand over there? Go ahead.
I believe self-pity So, yes, so I believe, right, there's a lot of stigmas, like we were talking about earlier. A lot of us were not raised, right? We've been taught to, if we go to the altar, right, on a faith-based basis, we're thinking about prosperity, right? For some folks, we're thinking about the family life, right? We're thinking about the physical condition. But we have to realize that mental health is health care, right? It is health. But not only that, we also have to realize that as strong as we are in our faith with God, right, we can interconnect that faith with taking care of our mental health. And I think it's integral to have your faith, right, your trust in God, and also interconnect that with your mental health. Because if we can ask God, right, to give us strength through hardships at work, right, when we're going through financial struggles, we ask God, God, let me be prosperous, right? But why can't we ask God as well, God, I feel weak at this moment. My mental condition isn't as great as it should be. There could be anxiety, depression, right, that we deal with on a daily basis. And sometimes, even with counseling, right, going to pastors for counseling, sometimes we don't want to air, especially in minority communities. We've been taught lo que pasa en la casa se queda en la casa. That means what happens at home stays in the household. You don't go divulging that information, right, to folks, or people might think therapy makes them weak. And if anything, that shows a strength, that you're vulnerable enough to get to that position and say, I need help. Because it's okay, it's okay not to be okay. But what's not okay is when you know you're not okay and you're not doing anything to help yourself. And that's why there's these resources that we have available, and why we're here today, right, presenting with NAMI to show the community that, hey, there's resources for all of us and for all of you here available, and you're not alone. And this is why we're advocating, right? And I think the intersectionality between faith and mental health is extremely important, and it should be talked about more, and we can integrate both.
Because you can pray and have therapy at the same time.
You can, and you can ask God, help open my mind.
I'm having a T-shirt done saying, I need Jesus and therapy.
Oh,
you know?
Amen. I think a lot of us need that, right? Especially with everything going. Yes. I need Jesus. Yes, yeah. Jesus, take control of my mind, because I 100% agree with you.
But when we teach therapy, you get somebody to look at your situation with fresh eyes. They're not directly involved in what's going on with you. They can be objective, and they may even can give you a new perspective of what's going on.
Right.
So you can believe and ask for help. You're not compromising your faith by asking for help. It's not, if we could just detach the mental illness from sin, for lack of a better term, then we understand that we can seek help, and that God sends people to help us when we're in times of need. We're going to, there's additional resources on our site called NAMI FaithNet. NAMI FaithNet is dedicated entirely to the faith community, and there are a lot of resources on NAMI FaithNet to help. Now we're going to take a look at a video, and the name of the video, the title of the video is The Art of Healing. This is a group discussion with some faith leaders that talk about faith and mental health. So I want to give you a take on it after we get done.
The song is not good.
Yeah, this, hold on. Give us a second. I'm trying to find, I think it's connected here, not to the, oh, but I know what to do, I know what to do. Hold on, I got it. Okay, let's play. There we go.
So looking forward to having this conversation today about African Americans and mental health.
A lot in our culture thinks that you can just pray things away. I believe in prayer, no doubt, but I also understand that not one miracle in the Bible occurred without the person needing the miracle taking action.
What's difficult sometimes is probably reflecting on being a community member who may feel like you've lost your role and you need help reconnecting.
We are such a strong, resilient people. And sometimes because of that, we have this, oftentimes I think, there's this stoicism about us, and it's like we're not allowed to be upset, we're not allowed to have depression or anxiety.
So I'm excited to sit down with my brother, my sister, talk about mental health in our Black community. Let's make it happen.
She could sit on your cushion. Thanks.
That's a great question. And since I'm the least among these two, I'm gonna let you guys go ahead first. Well, Dr. Logan, why don't you start out with that, if you don't mind?
Okay. So my why, I mean, when it comes to mental health in the Black African American community, I'm reminded of a healthy cultural mistrust. We historically, Black and brown people have not trusted mental health
Sure.
medical fields, and have had good reason to. Have had very good reason
Yeah.
to, and we can think about slavery and how people were treated, how, the idea that we don't feel any pain. So I think just the visual of us, the visual of people who look like those African American community, who represent that community, it releases some of that stigma automatically. And we had just never been given permission to not be stoic. And to not just be like it doesn't bother us. Our men haven't, our women haven't, our children have it, and I do think that it is hurting us, it's killing us. So being able to ask some permission, and I think with permission comes words. Like, there's so many people I've worked with that don't know how to put words to what's happening, and words are so powerful, and we can heal through that. So that's a huge part of my why.
Shahid, you want to go next, Brother Shahid? You want to go ahead?
I appreciate the invitation, Pastor. As you said earlier, Dr. Logan, that there is a mistrust there because there is equally so a mistreatment, right? That's either driven by racism and the mistreatment, misdiagnosing, and the incarceration of, folks who are copper, Black, people of color, whatever it is that they would point us as. In any time frame, our mental health is usually leveraged against us to really be the basis of the science and laws that existed to enslave us.
Right.
It was considered a disorder to want to be free, to run, to flee, all those things. It was a disorder to not to not want to be anything other than what, a white slave master wanted you to be.
Yeah.
And that's the genesis of this industry. And go figure, with that genesis, we don't account for all the hurts, the pains, everything that's inhumane that's gone into this. And mind you, what I'm saying isn't like, that's the way it is for everyone. It's just my reflection.
Such wonderful answers to that question. I guess for me, guys, it's I'm coming from a Christian point of view, because I'm a pastor of a church, but I'm gonna tell you the mistake that our people make. They think that you can just pray mental illness away. You can't. You can't. There's no indication you just pray something away. If we study the Bible, if we study the life of Christ, I'm a believer, I'm a Christ follower, there was always some action that had to take place before the healing and before the miracle. But when Brother Saeed said that it was viewed as a mental illness to want to be free, right? So if I flip that, let me ask the question. Now, is it a mental illness? Do you guys think it's part of a mental illness to want to be accepted by them in the worst way? Because I never really have, but because I didn't, I was always unruly. They called me unruly. They called me angry. And so with all of that, and in raising black males in my family, and now my grandkids are going through that, they have this desire to be accepted by this culture, by this people that really don't. If you can't dribble a basketball or catch a football or sing or dance, they're not really worried about your intellectual properties and how intelligent you can be. But Bro Shahid, when you said that, man, that it was considered a mental illness to want to be free, they still think there's something wrong with that.
Pastor Graves, if I may, I hear you pose the question, is it crazy to want to stay or be a part? And I go one above that, and that I think it's colonial.
Yeah.
When we think racism and its effects, and its dehumanizing effects and so on, racism is still a tool. You know what I mean? There's a whole shed in which that tool has come from, and I feel it's colonization. And colonization it doesn't look good, feel good, and it's inhumane for any that are the perpetrators of it, or those who wind up experiencing it as victims or whatever the case may be. It distracts us, I feel, or I believe, from acknowledging that, it can't heal the pain that it's caused. It's going to take us returning to a certain way of actually being with each other. Something that was said by you, Dr. Logan, was this idea of permission. Imagine us being from cultures that heavily relied upon being seen, being brought into life, being given permission. And then when you fundamentally deprive people of that really crucial and critical cultural value, spiritual value, they're lost.
Yeah.
The word that comes to mind is validation, and it's important for us to give ourselves permission to try to find what our words are, to name what's happening, because it happens all the time, and we're told it's not real, and it is real. We don't need that validation, I think.
For me, I get a chance to watch people heal together, and that's because we don't brush things under the rug. If a brother or sister are struggling in any area, let's talk about it, let's deal with it, let's try to point you in the right direction. I just think that our healing, our mental healing, is not something that can be done alone. All of these things that we're talking about, we've never talked about before, and that's what's celebratory about this conversation, is that now we can be better parents, we can be better grandparents, we can be better aunts and uncles. We can say, wait a minute, they need this conversation right now. Because I remember when I needed it and it wasn't available. And so I think that's the beginning part of us really recognizing the village is going to have to take part in it. You're going to have to be in a community of people to really help us get to that place to where we are dealing with our mental illness and are becoming mentally healthy as we're walking this journey and in this journey of life. So.
That's my son. That's my son. Yeah.
Okay, so we want to have a little discussion around the video, but before, we were trying to figure out the best video to show for a diverse audience. It talks about the Black and Latino or the Black family, but when it comes to mental health, it doesn't only affect the Black family. Is it still playing? Oh.
That's the credits.
So it doesn't only affect the Black families, Black and Latino family as well. So we just want to kind of clarify that. We're trying to work on a video to kind of like address the diverse community. But in that video, it talks about culture, right? So I want to ask you guys, what is one thing that you heard in the video that kind of like an aha moment for you? Something that you never knew before, or something that was new to you, or what is one thing that you heard in that video? If you heard anything that's like an aha moment.
And also, before we continue, I want to ask, out of respect, does anyone need for me to translate in Spanish? ¿Alguien necesita que traduzcamos en español? Ninguna persona. Quiero asegurarme antes que sigamos. Okay. So we're good. Okay. I just wanted to ask before we continue, just
Anything that you guys took away from the video, or something new then? So I see we have all different cultures in here, right? There are different cultures. And culture shapes our mental health. I know it did for me. Growing up, we had values. What are some values that you could remember growing up that your parents or grandparents would say to you that kind of shape the person that you are today? Yes, go ahead. Treat others how you want to be treated. Mary, you had one?
Yeah, I was going to say that, and respect your elders.
Respect your elders. Yep. Anyone else? Tell the truth. Yeah. In my culture, we were raised with I have a Hispanic and African American in me as well, but we were supposed to be strong women. Right? We were supposed to take care of the household, take care of the husband, take care of the kids, don't ask no questions. When I was growing up in my culture back in Belize, because I'm from the Caribbean, I'm from Belize, women were not allowed to work. So our husbands are the breadwinners, they come home, they bring the money, whatever, and we stay home. And our role was in the house, right? And we were not supposed to ask questions, not share how we feel, our feelings. We had no time to have feelings or share our feelings, right? So for me, growing up, that shaped my mental health because I knew that there was something wrong with me growing up, but my mom would say, don't talk about it. What do you have to be depressed about? You don't have no bills to pay. You have roof over your head, you have food on the table, you have clothes in your back. Why are you sad? Why are you depressed? So for years, that shaped how I view the world, how I view mental health condition, and I didn't want to talk about it, right? Even with faith and spirituality, they would say to me, pray it away. And for years, I'm like, I'm praying, but I'm not getting better, right? When my daughter was going through her mental health condition, I remember the pastor from my church came and they brought a little bottle of oil and they were like, we're going to anoint this child and we're going to oil the demon out of her because she has a demon in her, right? And they said some kind of prayers and they anoint her and this child got worse. But again, that's our culture, that's the way we were raised, and we don't know any better. Like Mary said, listen to your elders, right? I was listening to my grandparents, I was listening to my mom, because this is what the way we were raised, right? It was the norm, the community norm. So what are some other stuff that you heard when you were growing up that kind of shaped the person that you are today? Go ahead. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. It's a
Yeah.
culture. It's a cultural thing. It's the yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, yeah, the way we were raised. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And most of the time we're single mom. I was raised as, with a single mom, and I raised my child as a single mom. So we have to be strong. We don't know any better, right? You want to share?
And we have to, if we need to give ourselves permission to be vulnerable, because we don't think it's okay to be vulnerable. We don't think it's okay not to be strong. In fact, we don't think it's okay to not be okay, period.
Right. yeah, that part.
We just don't think it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you.
Right.
That's an amen.
Yeah,
right there.
amen.
Wisdom and no experience going on with it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have to give ourselves permission, number one, to not be perfect. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to have all the answers. We don't have to do it all. Because when we get ourselves in a position where we think we have to be all, do all for everyone, and not take care of ourselves in the process. Any caregivers in here? Anybody who's a caregiver? I had to learn the hard way. I was a caregiver to my husband, who was terminally ill, and my mom, who had dementia at the same time. And I was literally burning out and not realizing what was going on, because I thought it was selfish. I thought that self-care was selfish, okay? So one of the caregivers that was assigned to us, she came this particular day and she saw what was going on. And my purse was on the counter. And she took my purse off the counter and handed it to me. And she said, "Get out of here." She threw me out of my own house. And I said, she said, "Go." She said, "I've got this. I've been doing this for 20 some odd years. I know what I'm doing. You need to take care of yourself. And you're not doing it." And I said, she said, "I don't care if you go walk around in the mall for the next 2 hours. Do something for you, because you cannot take care of them if you don't take care of yourself. You can't do it. You're gonna burn out." And then when I started, I joined a support group, and I found out that the percentage of caregivers, the percentage of the people who are ill, that 35% of them outlive the caregiver. That's when I realized, okay, I need to take some. So I've said here 2 people, so that doubled that percentage. So I had to take some time out, carve some time out, and not feel guilty about doing it, for sure. So when we look about, I think,
She told me to go to the next, she told me to do the next one,
Okay.
the will we carry bias.
yeah,
Oh, hold on. Okay, so we're going to speak about how we all carry biases. And I think this is an important topic because a lot of us want to think that we don't carry biases, but we all do. And the important part is that we have to check ourselves when we do have biases. So we interpret others' worldview through our own lens. That's number one, right? We see this consistently, right, with folks from other races, from other walks of life, because of the way that we've been conditioned to think without even realizing it subconsciously. So when we do have a bias, is checking ourselves to say, hey, I realize I'm having this bias. Let me check myself and let me do a 360 on that, right? And we have to understand that not all struggles look the same for everyone, right? What someone in an ethnic group, right, can go through versus someone maybe not in that group or in that culture, that community, their worldview and experience differs, right? So we have to empathize with folks, and we have to respect that we all have a different walk of life, and it's not going to look the same for everyone, right? And that's okay, but we have to be respectful of other folks' walks of life and respect the experiences they carry, because sometimes we walk around, we internalize trauma, and that projects in how we speak to people, right? And how we interact, how we show up. And it's hard to come to that realization, but it's a common thing that we all do, right? And some pain is invisible, right? So you can look at your neighbor right next to you, and they could have gone through many things that you would have no idea. And they have all of that trauma internalized, right? And you would never know, right? There's people that I've met that even when I've shared my own struggles in life story, they're like, oh my God, I would have never been able to get through the other, I would have went crazy, right? Because of trauma and things that I have gone through. But I can say, right, through my own personal testimony, for me, right, not only working on my mental health, but even as we're talking about in a faith-based setting, God has helped me get through the other side. And I mean through trauma, domestic violence, addiction, many things. And for me, my taking care of my mental health and integrating that with God has helped me overcome, right? So when I also work not only in the nonprofit organization, but in the mental health field. And I have people that with illnesses, terminal illnesses, that come to me and they start crying, they're overwhelmed, right? I see this, right? And I have to be mindful of how I show up when I talk to people, right? Because you never know on the other end what that person carried through, what their day was like, right? And we just don't see that, right? So we want to be mindful of how we show up and we come and talk to others as well. And I always say we have to be faster to listen and slower to talk. Most of us, we're very reactive, and we tend to talk instead of listening, right? Because our emotions take control instead of letting the logical mind come in and say, you know what? Let me sit back, let me listen, right? And the way we say things is important, right? Because that can change how a conversation is transmitted, how folks feel, right? If I were to tell you, move that thing away from me, right? How you would feel offended because I'm coming to you in an aggressive manner versus me coming to you, hey, look, right now, I'm not able to handle all of this and take care of it. Can you please move that around, right? There's a difference, right? And even when we do come off, because we're human, there's gonna be times that we do come off without wanting to in an aggressive manner. It could be burnout, work, children, many things. But I think it's important to apologize when we're wrong, because a lot of us have big egos, and sometimes culturally we don't want to admit I'm wrong, right? No, sometimes even with your spouse, and my spouse, he's here, I'm not perfect. I have to apologize to him and be like, hey, honey, I'm sorry. I was out of pocket. I should have came correct because I have to correct myself and I'm not perfect, right? So we have to realize when we're speaking, right, to others, let's be mindful, right? Because we never know what someone's internalizing and what they're going through at the back end, right? And we're heading here with Denise, right, about allyship, because I think this is important, right, since we have different cultures here.
Thank you. That was great, Jessica. So what do you guys, when we talk about ally and allyship, what do you think comes to mind? What does an ally look like for you? What do you think an ally is? Loyalty? Mary?
Someone you can go to and know it's not gonna go anywhere else.
Yep. Yep. So that's what we need. Somebody talked about it takes a village to raise a child, right? And so we need to form and create those allies. People that could listen without judgment. You know, we're quick to judge, and I say we because sometimes I fall into that category as well, right? But we're quick to judge. So if the person knows you're quick to judge and you're gonna blame them, you're not gonna respect, you're gonna share what they tell you, do you think they're gonna come to you in confidence and share their story with you? No. Because they're gonna say, oh well, as soon as I leave, then he's gonna go tell Tom, Dick, and Harry, right? So when we think about creating allies, we wanna look at either an individual, a community, or a collective of people that could work collaboratively and have that trust. And that's what NAMI tried to do. And I met Jessica, a couple of weeks ago, and we were like, this could be a good allyship. This could be a good partnership because she works in the field that we work in at NAMI, right? We don't do therapy, we don't do, we don't give advice, we don't do direct services, but we offer that support. So we could come together and we could create that allyship. My allergies is bad, I'm sorry. And we could create that support where we could refer people to Jessica and Jessica could refer people to us for our classes, our support group, our educational presentation. And that's why Mary's here today, because I want to introduce Mary and Jessica. So Mary's in Myrtle Beach, I'm all the way in Columbia, right? But Mary and Jessica could get together and Mary could refer to Jessica and Jessica could refer to Mary. So that's how we work when we talk about allyship. We work together collaboratively. You want to share?
So how can we support each other? What are some things that we can do to not only show that we care about the person who's struggling with their mental health, but how can we really support them? What are some of the things that we could do? Give me. Not be judgmental. That's a very good start, because when they want to talk to us, we need to be free to listen, and we need to be in a position where we're doing more listening than talking. Okay? Really be able actively listening to them. Another thing that we could do. Creating a safe space for them to share. Yes, because if someone doesn't feel safe with you to share whatever is going on with them, if they feel like it's going to go elsewhere, they're less likely to say anything. So what do? They shut down and they suffer in silence. They're so afraid of what's going to happen to that information that they share. That you're okay with me now, but what are you going to do with that information that you know about me when you get upset with me? What's going to happen then? So those are legitimate concerns. They really are. But we want to, the better informed we are about mental health, the better position we are in to give them that support. We can check in on them, and I don't mean just texting. I'm still a phone call person. Sometimes the human connection is what someone needs, a face-to-face. I remember someone coming to my house after my loved one passed away, and she didn't come just with this often hear people tell you, "Oh, if you need me, call me. If you need me, call me." Well, they need you, okay? If you need me, call me, and then you're hoping that they don't call you. They need you. She came and she said, "Listen, I'm available on Tuesdays and Thursdays and whatever day she gave me." And she said, "On those days, I can run an errand for you. She not only told me when she was available, but she told me what she could do. And when we're in a position wherein we need help, and we won't have the mindset of we need to do it all ourselves, and we keep turning people down, what's going to happen after a while? They're going to stop asking. So not only do we need to be able to offer help, but we need to be receptive to help when help is offered. So checking in on a person, using respectful language. We would not refer to a person who has cancer as he is cancer. We wouldn't say that, right? So instead of saying he is schizophrenic or he's bipolar, this is what the person has. The condition does not define the person. That is not who they are. That is what they have. Okay? Be respectful with that language. Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering, in this situation, you fill it out, see how it is. Is it okay to pray with you? Say, can I pray with you?
The first thing you said, feel it out. You know, because definitely if they're receptive to you praying for them, that's oftentimes something that they would want to happen. Yes.
Right. No, and I agree, right? I think we all have to be mindful of reading the room, right? Especially in our faith, because we don't know, right? There's folks that I've done it before. They've gotten offended when you ask for a prayer because they're like, "What are you trying to assume something's wrong with me that I can't handle my own business?" Mm-hmm. But it comes from a genuine place, right? And I think, especially those in the faith, right, within the faith community, I think offering prayer is really, right, it's a strong way to support someone. But let's say it's not within the church community and you're outside of church, right, and at work, right, sometimes we don't know, right, how someone might take a suggestion, right? So I like to feel and read the room. And for me, it's because I have good intuition, right? So I like to build the relationship first, right? Sometimes we have to build a strong connection and relationship or get to know a little bit and probe before we jump in. So sometimes some people just want to be heard and listened to. So I think it's important that we listen first, we let them talk, and if we feel that we can go in and offer that prayer and that support, then we offer that, right? Because not only are we listening, but you're offering the resource of prayer after taking that moment to listen with them. So I think both can be interjoined.
We need to let them take the lead.
Right.
As far as where things are gonna go and follow their lead.
Right.
And go from there. But we need to, we wanna encourage them to seek help. I think one of the dangerous things we can do is to discourage that, the seeking of help. And I was in this community discussion with a group, and the pastor asked the question because he said, "I'm dealing with a lot of things in my congregation that they did not teach me in seminary." And he said, "I really don't know what to do about handling some of this stuff." And first, he could err on the side of caution and understand that he may need to refer some people out to other sources for help, that he doesn't have to have all the answers just because he was the pastor. because he said, I don't wanna get in trouble and I don't wanna end up, and I understood all of that, but, sometimes we do have to refer. I was a school counselor for many years, and my training was not clinical. So because it was not clinical, there were things that required a clinician to get involved. And so, in other words, I stayed in my lane as far as what I was able to do and did referrals for those things that I could not or was not trained to handle. Be present, not perfect. We don't have to have all the answers. We don't. We don't. And I don't think even sometimes we're expected to have all the answers. But we can share resources and we can refer. There's a lot of information here on the table. Please take what you want. If you don't feel you need it, you could definitely share that information with someone else. Now, we need to recognize the warning signs of mental health conditions. We need to know what we're looking at and what we're looking for. And we have those resources. I'm sure Mary has some too, as well as what we have over here. When we're talking about mental health conditions, we're talking about something of concern that's present for more than 2 weeks. Because we don't feel good all the time. But that's normal. But certainly if something is persistent and won't go away, there's a reason to be concerned about that. So when someone is maybe behaving recklessly, maybe they are having mood swings, maybe their eating habits have changed, maybe you're noticing things that just don't look right, sound right, feel right, and you know that person better than other people do, then there's a reason to be concerned. Maybe physical symptoms have changed for no apparent reason, or emotional changes. Everyone going through mental health issues doesn't necessarily act out. They could also shut down. And so we need to recognize those signs, and there are cards over here and information that show the typical signs of mental health conditions. But when you approach that person, make sure that you're approaching them with care and concern. I care about you, and this is what I'm offering in a way of support. People normally respond to care, to genuine concern.
So beside what, the slide was up there before. Besides some of those signs that you guys see up there on the slide, what are some other warning signs that you might kind of look at or heard about or saw, whether in loved ones, yourself? What are some other mental health warning signs that you could think about?
Other than what I mentioned.
Go ahead.
I would say little motivation.
Lack of motivation. What else? Go ahead.
Hygiene.
Hygiene is a big one.
Yes.
Big one. My daughter went through like 3 months without just not brushing her teeth, not washing her hair, she changed her clothes, but she didn't take a shower, she didn't use deodorant, she just changed clothes. So that's a huge one. Thank you for bringing that up. Anyone else? Absence, yeah.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that disconnection.
Yeah.
When you see someone disconnected from their daily activities, their routine, that's a sign that something is. You should check in for sure.
Yeah. And I know we all get sad from time to time, right? We change a little routine, we do a little, but if you guys notice that it's lasting for more than 2 weeks, and it's affecting the way they interact with others,
Right.
in school, in the community, in church, maybe, and I'm gonna say Denise, maybe Denise used to come to church and she was the life of the party and she was, always greeting everyone, and all of a sudden Denise start coming to church and he's sitting all the way in the back. And it's lasting for more than 2 weeks. Even younger children in school, right, can't function, can't concentrate. So if it's affecting your day-to-day lives, then and it's more than 2 weeks, then that's something that really needs to be addressed.
So healing happens in communities, with community, with us getting together, having those conversations, and supporting each other. So we can first start with creating a judgment-free zone where people can feel comfortable to share. And this is not only in the faith community, but also among family and friends. When the family is not on board and tussling with each other about how to deal with that person that has a mental health issue, it creates problems within the home when they can't get on the same page, when they lack resources themselves to take care of not only the person that's dealing with the mental health issue, but also to take care of themselves. There are 2 programs that NAMI has. One is called NAMI Basics, which is for family members of children 18 years of age and younger. It's a class, right?
6 weeks class.
6-week class to help family members navigate this thing with what's going on with that person, how to best support them, and how to take care of themselves in the process. Family to Family is another class. That's for people who have family members who are over the age of 18, adult family members. We have a lot of time people coming to us saying, I have an adult family member that has a mental health condition. They won't go to treatment. If they are in treatment, they won't take their medication. That's a real common thing among adults who are non-compliant. And so we can encourage them in that manner. Therapy, I can't say enough about my support for therapy because, it's not gonna go away by itself. And so we need treatment. Support groups are an advantage because sometimes you can't get in with a therapist right away. A support group will bridge that gap until you do. And support groups connect you with people who are dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with, so you definitely feel that you're not alone. Safe spaces, I already mentioned that, and healing circles like this one, where we can openly discuss mental health conditions.
Okay. So for the next discussion section, I'm going to stand up because I've been sitting for too long. We want to hear from you guys. So Ms. Leona talked about healing. So healing looks different for everyone, right? So we want to hear from you. What does healing look like for you? And you guys going to get a little journal? We want to hear from you. So whoever answers, get a little journal. So so what do you guys think healing look like for you guys? Yes. Okay. Explain a little bit more about that. Mm-hmm. 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 Very good. Anyone else? What does healing look like for you guys? Showing up, who said that? Showing up in your best way, right? So for me, healing, and we talk a lot about healing and self-care with NAMI because we have to take care of ourselves first, right? We juggle a lot of stuff throughout the day, right? And we have another presentation where we talk about juggling different types of balls, right? So we juggle work life, we juggle family, we juggle relationships, we juggle parenthood, right? Caregiving. And so we have to take care of ourselves so we could take care of everyone else around us, right? And self-care, just like healing, looks different for everyone. If I'm not in my best mode or my best journey, I can't help anyone else, right? Anyone else? What does healing look like for you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I love what he said. There's a path. There's a way to get to the light, right? There's a light at the other end of the tunnel. Again, we talked a lot about culture here, and I always say we gotta break that cycle. For me, my parents was in a domestic violence marriage. I was in a domestic violence marriage, but it got to a point where I had to say it ends here.
Right.
This is where it ends. It's not going to go any farther than here. And that self-awareness, yeah? Yep. 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 That's okay. That's okay, right? I had to be able to step outside of my comfort zone and say, I am not dealing with this anymore. Right. My mom used to have a saying, till death do you part. You don't leave your husband for anything till death do you part. Either I was going to kill him or he was going to kill me. So, right? So I had to say, okay, this is where it ends. So that, for me to accept that, I had to stop being in denial. Mm-hmm. I had to accept that for me, and that's how my healing journey started. It might be something different for you guys, right? But for me, that's how my healing journey started. Anyone else? Oh, yeah, I love this. Okay. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How many of you guys in here journal? There you go. There you go. Okay. You got a question? You got a comment? Creating boundaries. You want to share one or two boundaries that you could create to start heal?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
Yep. We have a presentation, we do self-care and boundary, and no is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain your no to nobody else. No is a complete sentence. You wanted to share?
Sí.
You want to translate?
Sí.
Mm-hmm.
Yo traduzco.
Mm-hmm.
Sí.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. And for those that didn't understand what she's saying, what she believes is very integral in healing is forgiving others, but forgiving yourself foremost. And which is, I 100% agree, because sometimes we can't and don't allow ourselves to forgive ourselves, and we hold things. And sometimes we're our own worst enemy. And that, it takes a lot, right? To say, I forgive myself and I release and I let this go. Because it's not easy to forgive yourself from past mistakes, right? But we have to be vulnerable with ourselves as well. Just like with others, with ourselves. Because, like I said, we can be either our own best friend or our worst enemy. So, I agree.
Gracias. Yeah, and I love the part with forgiving and letting it go.
Yes.
Because even for me, for forgiving, I worked with my therapist, and she said to me, write him a letter. She said, you don't have to mail it, but I did.
Right.
He said, write him a letter, just put it out there on the letter and let it go. Some people burn the letter, some people mail it, and that's how I was able to forgive him and also forgive myself. So that's powerful. Muchas gracias.
Sí.
Uh-huh.
Oh. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. No. Mm-hmm.
She said something very important. She just said that in her therapist, something that stood out to her was that she said that we have to tell ourselves, I'm no one's rehab clinic. They have to want the change. You can't want it for them. They have to want it more themselves than you. And that's very powerful. Right. Correct. Correct. And another thing I want to add too, that I was thinking while we're talking about this is that healing is not linear. Healing, we're ever evolving. People have a misconception of thinking I'm 100% healed and I'm good, and we're ever evolving. We're always learning new things about ourselves. So we have to stop putting that expectation on ourselves of I'm healed and I'm good, because I promise you something from experience. You're gonna turn around and you're gonna think you're good. Something's gonna happen. You're like, I'm not as good as I thought I was. So we have to be mindful, right? And we have to be patient with ourselves. I think also to understand that we're ever evolving, we're changing, we're learning things as we grow. And that's part of the healing process. It's the journey, not the destination.
Go ahead, Mary.
Something I learned from my mom when I was very young is no matter what you're going through or how bad you're feeling or how bad things are in your home, you need to remember that you get up, you get yourself cleaned up, you put your clothes on, you do your hair, and you smile in the mirror at yourself. And you know what? That makes you put your foot forward and makes you start going at a better day. And it's really, really important. If you can't move yourself forward, no one else is going to be able to do it for you.
Right.
So, I mean, those are like really big steps, as much as they seem like they are so minute. Just getting out of bed sometimes is a big step for people. I know that because there was a lot of days that I could not get out of bed. So, I mean, it's just really important that your self-care is done, because if you don't do that self-care, you're not going to get anywhere.
Right.
Thank you, guys. So we can put the next slide. So this is a raise of hand question. So how many of you ever felt misunderstood when expressing your emotions? Right? So if you look around, you know, a few of you guys felt misunderstood. What do you think stops people in your community from seeking help? And you guys are going to get stress balls this time. What do you think? Go ahead. Pardon me? Pride. Okay. What else? What stops people in your community from seeking help? Validation.
Right.
Somebody said something in the back. Somebody's hiding in the back, huh? Fear of rejection. Come for your stress ball. Anyone else? Shame. Yeah. Yeah. Shame, disgrace, all that stuff.
Yes.
So what would make you guys, and this is my last question. Yes, go ahead, sorry. Embarrassment. Yep. I'll give you one for that too, because you helped mommy out, okay? So what would make you feel safe enough to open up? Or to talk to someone in the community? What would make you feel safe? Go ahead. Trust? Okay. I'll give you a keychain if you have a stress ball already. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Yeah. Right. Oh, that part.
Yeah. I'm
Yes.
gonna put that on a t-shirt one day.
Yeah.
That's a t-shirt.
That's
Yes.
a good, that's a t-shirt one.
Yes.
Anyone else? What do you think communities like NAMI, organization like NAMI, Daughters of Both Sons, other organizations, what can they do to help the community feel more safe, feel more comfortable, coming out to conversations like these, sharing their experiences? Go ahead. Uh-huh.
Mm.
Explain a little bit more about that. Tell it as it is. Yep. Yep. Anyone else? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very good. I love these conversations. Anyone else? Go ahead, man. Mm-hmm.
Mm. Right.
Very good.
I
Anyone
agree.
else? Go ahead.
Mm. So what she was saying, right, is that as women, we make a lot of excuses, right? Una pregunta, porque se me pasó, usted dijo que como mujeres hacemos muchas excusas para... Oh, ok, muy fuerte, ajá, so strong, ok, enmascararse en ser fuerte, pero no ser vulnerable, ¿verdad? Que no, que uno no, entonces es como una máscara. Oh, ok. Sí. Correcto, sí. Sí. Relajarse. Yes. So what she was saying is that a lot of times as women we feel that we have to be strong and on the go, on the go, on the go, right? And sometimes we don't notice the burnout, right? So she was talking about realizing, right, that when we see someone in need, being able to be there to help them, to say, hey, let me take some of that stress off your shoulders, even if it's with the kids, right, or other duties, right? So you can be able to kind of lay back and have some me time and be able to reflect, because sometimes we're on the go, 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 we get burned out and we're taking care of everyone else, but we're not taking care of ourselves.
And that's when we talk about self-care comes in, because we gotta take care of ourselves, or else we won't be able to take care of anyone else. And like you said, we will get burnout, right? So that self-care is very, very important. Another program that we have at NAMI, and then I'll turn it over to you.
Mm-hmm.
Another program that we have at NAMI is called a family match. So we could match a family, or either a partner with a partner, a parent with a parent, a child, a spouse with a spouse, that have a loved one that's going through similar situation. It's kind of like a peer support, one-on-one. And you could talk to this person in your pajamas, you could be in your bed. This person's gonna support you over the period of 3 months and help you to advocate for yourself. This person's been there, done that. We also talk about sharing our stories. When I talk to someone on the phone, whether it's a parent, whether it's a partner or a spouse, I share a little bit of my background and my story, because no one can tell it like someone who lived it. And that's what got me into the NAMI world, because I remember calling the NAMI helpline. This was my journey started in New York, and my daughter was hospitalized, and she had her second suicide attempt. And every night I come home and I cry myself to sleep, And that one, I was going through my cancer treatment at that time, and my support group was online, my cancer support group. So I said, let me go online and see if there's a support group for someone because they told me she had bipolar disorder. Nobody told me what bipolar was, nobody told me how to deal with it, how to get help for myself. So when I went online, I found NAMI, and I got the helpline number, and I will never forget what the person said to me at the other end of the line. This person never met me, doesn't know my story, doesn't know where it come from. He said to me, this is not your fault, this is not your child's fault. This is an illness. Es una enfermedad, como cualquier enfermedad. No es tu culpa, no es culpa de su niña. And I said, tell me more, right? Because everyone around me that I knew, family, friends, church congregation, even the deacon and deaconess at my church was pointing fingers. This is your fault. You need to discipline this child. You need to whip her into shape. My aunt said to me, my mom said first, she said, send the child to me for a week and I'll whip her into shape for you. My aunt said to me when she was 14, she needs to marry her off, her hormones is all over the place. So everyone else is pointing the fingers at me, but here comes at the other end of the line, total stranger. This person, I never met this person, is telling me, this is an illness, this is not your fault. And that's what reeled me in. That was the hook. And I'm like, an illness, I want to hear more. And I walked into that support group at NAMI. I drank the NAMI Kool-Aid, and here I am today. But just to know that there's support out there. My support system right now is my NAMI family. The people from the support group, the people that I train, the people that I met along the way. I have like one handful that I could say are family members that support me. My support system is total strangers. So please, you guys, if you know anyone that's living with mental health condition, that's struggling, please, you can see some ways up there how we can help someone, that is struggling. But it's nothing to be ashamed of. The same way I talk about my diabetes, I talk about my cancer treatment, the same way I talk about my mental health. I gotta take my insulin shot. I gotta take my pills for my heart condition. I gotta take my blood pressure meds. I take 2 pills in the morning for my mental health, and I'm fine throughout the day. That doesn't mean I don't have bad days. I do. But I also have positive coping skills that help me. I do breathing exercise. I have my stress balls. I do, I go to therapy once a week. And I remember during COVID, I used to go to therapy twice a week. Ain't nothing, about that. So please, if you know anyone, please talk to someone about it. Share it with your pastor, share it with your friends, and NAMI's always here to help. You have Mary's right in Myrtle Beach area. Mary has support groups, and I'm going to have Mary share a little bit at the end, but she has support, and all our programs are free. We don't charge anything for our programs. You want us to start a support group, we come to your organization. You want us to do a class with your parents, we come to do that as well. So all that we offer is free. So utilize the services. You guys can take whatever you want up here. There's some little bags. Fill your bags up and take them with you. Share it with your neighbors. Share with people. Share with friends that you know. I'm going to turn it over to Jessica.
Yes. So right now, as we're concluding, I just want everyone, to have some reflection questions in their mind, because we just spoke about how can we better support those that are struggling, So let's reflect and think about how we can better support people that are struggling, how we're able to show up for them as well, and what assumptions do we need to challenge, Whether that's bias, judgment, being slower to talk and faster to listen, things of that sort as well, And what can we do in creating safe spaces in our communities, Because I think that's important. That's why we're here, NAMI's here, to be able to support and create these safe spaces so we can have these conversations as a community as well, So these are important areas and topics of discussion, and I really want everyone to leave today, thinking about what does allyship mean to you, How can you be a better ally to those around you, and how can others support you as well and being an ally, because that's extremely important, right? Even being in multicultural environments, we want to be able to better support, right? So today we do have a therapist here. We actually have Kybria, right? She's part of our network today. Ashley also, she's here. She's a therapist. Today, Kybria, she's gonna ask. She is a licensed therapist, right? And any questions that you guys have, she'll be happy to answer, right? Again, this is a safe space. For those, señora, también tenemos una terapista que está por Zoom, que la podemos traer, que es bilingüe también. Si quiere preguntar preguntas en español, ella también le puede asistir y contestar sus preguntas. So, sí, yo ahora la voy a traer también. We have Yaritza. She's a bilingual therapist that I'm about to bring in as well for those that speak Spanish and have questions, right? I just want you guys to know this is a safe space. Feel free, just like we've been talking back and forth, to ask any questions. And, you know, we just want you to be able to understand the resources to gain clarity and know that we're here to support, right? So what I'm going to do right now is that I'm going to bring in that other therapist as well, the bilingual therapist. And we're going to go from Kybria to her, right? If any questions need to be asked. But please, while I'm doing that, feel free to ask Kybria as well any questions, because she's a licensed therapist and she's able to answer that from a therapy and mental health standpoint, right? Because she's licensed. Does anyone have any questions they would like to ask her?
I think that was a great question. I think we have to normalize therapy and like mental health professionals in a faith setting, and I think also outsourcing like resources. So I know someone mentioned earlier like pastoral counseling, but pastoral counseling is not the same as mental health counseling. And a pastor, of course, can counsel and pray and provide resources in the church, but I think that's where using our resources, so therapists, just like if someone has cancer, you're not just going to go to the pastor and say, are you going to make me feel better? You're also probably going to the doctor as well to get the treatments that you need. So I think having mental health therapists, whether they're on staff, I know a lot of churches have started opening up their staff to have a mental health professional. I know a lot of churches, they partner with mental health professionals. They do things like this. I mean, I think this is great that you have a mental health professional, even just an organization and NAMI, Daughters of Both Sons and NAMI, doing things like this to be able to provide education, to be able to show the resources and provide resources, but also say, hey, if you need us for mental health help, we are here. So I do think in the faith communities, having more open conversations, normalizing the conversation, and even just being open to allowing the outsources or the resources to come into these spaces would be really beneficial.
Perfect. Does anyone else have any questions that you would like to ask? También tenemos la terapista que es bilingüe también, que habla español. Si le quiere preguntar cualquier pregunta, se le puede preguntar también. Jadis, are you able to hear us? Well, can you hear me?
I think your mic may be off on Teams.
Oh, on Teams. Hold on. Oh, you're right.
Mute y
Ay.
switch. ¿Me pueden escuchar a mí?
Ahora la puedo escuchar.
Okay, sí.
Perfecto. I just have to go on mute. I just let me put this down. Okay. Pero me puede oír, ¿correcto? Ok, perfecto. Entonces también, porque aquí tenemos también personas que hablan español, si quieres decir algo para la comunidad, que sé que estamos en vivo y bien directo, pero si quieres decir algo como terapista para la comunidad hispana también, ¿qué consejos le puede dar a la comunidad hispana?
Sí, y un poco de lo que han mencionado también, reconocer las consideraciones culturales y saber que muchos aquí en este país hemos aprendido de diferentes formas y es importante buscar a alguien que se sienta a gusto practicar y estar en su cuidado con esa consideración y conocimiento de la cultura, porque hay algunos terapeutas que dirían ciertos consejos que no coinciden con nuestro pensamiento o lo que sea realístico. Por decir, y me gusta como han dicho, para cuidar los demás ocupamos cuidarnos a nosotros mismos. Es muy importante porque nuestro instinto es a veces dar y se sienta culpable a veces tomar ese tiempo para uno, pero es un balance necesario.
Y gracias por ese consejo y estoy 100% de acuerdo contigo también. Y también le quiero preguntar, she was just saying, just for the folks, right, because we did this as well for our bilingual folks, y si quiere lo puedes traducir también en inglés. También para que los que están aquí, que tienen inglés o que solamente hablan inglés, puedan entender lo que le estaba diciendo también.
So what I was saying is in that consideration, and a lot of what's already been mentioned, of finding a clinician that feels comfortable and that honors you and what you're walking in with. A lot of the education that we receive is sometimes not based off of people from our communities, and certain advice might not feel realistic. So finding the person that relates and is able to understand different dynamics from our culture and lifestyles so that it's both realistic and sustainable.
Thank you for that. And Kyrie, I would like to ask you as well, what advice, right, after everything we've spoken about, what advice do you feel that you would be able to give to the community today?
Well, I think that there was a lot of information provided, a lot of good information. But the most important thing is to remember to show up and take care of yourself, because you can't take care of everyone else if you're not okay. When I was in therapy a few years ago, my therapist kept reminding me, like, you don't need to set yourself on fire to have everyone else around you okay. And I was like, well, but I want to be there for everyone, and I need to take care of everyone. And she was like, but if you're not taking care of yourself, how are you showing up for them? And so I think you have to remind yourself, I heard the word boundaries. I'm really big on boundaries, like firm believer of boundaries. My no is my no. After a certain time, I'm not answering the phone. I can't be there for everyone. I can't show up for everyone. So setting boundaries, also knowing your own limits, because sometimes when you're the nice person, you start showing up as a therapist in everyone's life, and when you're showing up as a therapist, everyone's coming to you with their problems, or where are you going with your problems? So I think the best thing to take away from all of this is just being okay with taking care of yourself and not having any shame behind it. Going to therapy is not shameful. I think therapists are put on this earth to be able to help people and help people have better mental health. And I'm not just saying that because I am a therapist, so I am a little biased, but even if I wasn't, I still would see the importance and the benefits of it. And also like finding a therapist for you, and sometimes that does take time. Therapy is not a one-size-fits-all. So sometimes therapy needs to look like we're not just sitting down and talking face to face. Sometimes it needs to be we're doing activities together, or sometimes virtual does not do well for people. So sometimes I need to be in person. So I think just knowing what you need and being able to get that. I'm convinced there are therapists out there for everyone. There's therapists for males, there's therapists for females, there's therapists for Black and brown communities, there's therapists for white communities, there's therapists for adults, therapists for children. And there's so many resources to be able to find these therapists. There's websites like Psychology Today. That's usually my go-to for recommendations, because you can filter that to exactly what you need, even down to what it is that you're working on, what kind of insurance you have, how much you're willing to pay. So I think just knowing where you can get the help and being okay with getting that is the biggest takeaway from today.
Great. And I have a question, right, for both of you, right? Because especially today we spoke about faith. So I'm wondering, right, from this perspective, and I think many of us have this question, right? When it comes to faith, right, how can faith communities better support mental health without creating stigma around it? Because I think there's for certain folks, right, we have been taught to rely on our faith, and maybe there's just stigma around just on relying on the faith portion, but not integrating the mental health. So how can we better integrate both from a therapist standpoint? And Yaritza, you can go, and then Cabria can answer next.
I'll answer in English and then Spanish. Because with that question, it really resonates that interweaving of the mind, body, and spirit, where we are all existing with these elements at the same time. So it's, looking at it almost like an analogy, if it's a basket, all of these different elements are inside the basket that is ourselves. So finding what honors us and how it all interconnects. So for example, with anxiety, we feel the sensations physically. Sometimes we get butterflies in our stomach. We might get certain conditions like, and sorry if it's a little graphic, but constipation and diarrhea is common when we have anxiety, and that's how our body is responding to something that comes from our mind. Same thing with our spirit. We have that the faith that can influence how we feel, and it's not the only thing that is available and accessible for us to create these habits or routines that are helpful.
Yes. And then Cabria, what would you say?
So I think a lot of times people don't realize that when you have your first therapy session, I think it's called biopsychosocial, and that's what people think that it only is. But it is biopsychosocial spiritual. That is a cultural consideration that is considered in therapy. So if you're religious, how will that show up in therapy? And you'd be surprised, but if you open the Bible, there are so many verses in there that literally point to things that are like, for your anxiety, go here. For your depression, go here. And I don't think people realize, like, you just think, oh, well, if God, was taking care of me, I wouldn't be depressed. Or, if God was taking care of me, I wouldn't be anxious. But also, sometimes we go through things that, it just is a part of our life. We can't control everything. But I also think God doesn't put us through anything that we can't get through. And so going back to your Bible and saying, okay, I can cast my fears on Him, and I will be able to take care of those things. But I can also go to therapy to work on and focus on these fears as well. So I think just, again, using your resources because they are there.
And then, and I think we touched about this because we're big here, right? And Daughters of Both Sons, we're big on culturally competent care, right? Especially in the sector that we're working with underserved communities. It is very important, just like Cabria was saying, Psychology Today is a very good resource because you can literally filter, right? If you can do a sliding fee, what insurance therapists take, cultural backgrounds, even therapists, there's Christian therapists as well that integrate with your faith that can help you, right? So there's so many type of therapists, right, for different cultures, right, in different communities. So I think that's important before. And I have a question. Has anyone had a bad experience with therapy in the past? I have. You have? I mean, I had a therapist 15 years ago. She told me I was acting like a bee. So can you imagine? You think I wanted to go to therapy after she told me that? Okay, exactly. And that's coming from a mental health clinician. And I still took the time, right? Because I didn't base that one experience and I didn't jump it around to the next therapist, right? Because not everyone's the same, right? And even in our personal lives, we tend to stay or think, right? We wouldn't want someone to judge us based on their past trauma. So why would we do it in any other situation with someone else, right? And I've met people that have had bad experience in therapy, right? So this is why being able to find culturally aligned therapists, right, I think is very important, right? Because there's therapists that work in different variety of types of fields, right? There's some that have EDMR training. That's for trauma, right? And that's for people that have gone through trauma. That's very beneficial. Some focus on CBT, right? Cognition behavioral training, right? Some are specifically trauma informed that deal with folks that are dealing with trauma. Some are in the sector of marriage and family counseling, right? So, and there's for a lot of different groups, right? So I think finding culturally aligned care is extremely important, especially when we're talking about mental health, right? Because mental health is healthcare. So we have to, especially in the last decade, we've seen the advocacy work. And before, mental health wasn't even, back in the day, right, a benefit in the insurance, right, insurances. And now it is. It's an essential benefit. So I think just like we want to take care of our bodies, everything's interconnected. The body, the mind, and the spirit. You can be spiritual. You can feed your mental self, right? And coming to groups like this and communities that help you with the resources, and you can take care of your body as well and integrate everything, right? With your faith, your mental health, and the way you show up, right? Because somebody told me this the other day and I was like, I thought about it. Imagine if one of you, right? Some of you might be married now, right? Or most of you, but if you have a significant other, if you were dating someone and they stood you up on a date, would you want to see that person again? So why do we do that? Why don't we show up for ourselves? Why do we do that? When we don't take care of our mental health, right? When we let things by, when we don't take care of our physical body, right? Our emotional state. Why are we not taking the time? Because it's almost like a breakup with yourself, if you think about it, because I wouldn't want to deal with someone who's not putting me as a priority. Why don't we put ourselves as a priority? Because that affects the way that we show up for others. So that is very important. And just going forward, right, because I think this was a good community discussion, right? We just want to emphasize that mental health is health. We can break these stigmas in our communities. And healing overall happens when we work together, right? When we have these conversations, when we have these discussions, and we're able, right, to integrate our different worldviews and come as one, right? So before we start ending here, I just want to be respectful and ask, does anyone have any questions for either one of the therapists? Okay, so I just want to let you know some resources, right? NAMI has a warm line, right? I'm going to pull that number up here while we're ending, that you can call. There's operating hours, right? And they'll give you more information about that. We, Daughters of Both Sons, we also work with the crisis text line. We have, if you text daughters to 741-741, if you're going through a crisis, and remember, this is the crisis text line is not meant for counseling, but if you're in need of immediate support, please reach out to these resources. There's local partners. I know we have Mary Ray. She's from NAMI in Myrtle Beach. So feel free to please stop and speak to her at her table. Then we also have the 988 Suicide and Crisis text line as well. And we're gonna have those resources up here also. So, I want to thank everyone here for showing up for yourselves, most importantly, and being part of this conversation, right? Healing begins when we're able to communicate and we're able to have these real discussions within our communities, because then we're able to better support each other, right, going forward and, in that healing journey. And then we want to, right, of course, create spaces that are safe, where people feel that they can show up, be authentic, and feel like they can speak, right, what they need to speak, and they feel comfortable and announcing their opinions or how they feel, right? And I think this was a very great discussion that we had today. So I thank you all for showing up. We're going to have resources here. I know we had also a raffle. So if you didn't get a ticket, please come up, right? Because I'm gonna start calling the numbers for the raffle. But I want to also thank NAMI. Thank you for co-facilitating, hosting, basically, right, between you and Ms. Denise and Ms. Leola. But there's food in the front as well, right? There's drinks. And we will host the raffle. So if you haven't gotten a ticket, please come to the table. Please feel free to come to all the tables to get resources. And we're gonna be here if you guys wanna have any side chats or talk. So thank you all, and have a blessed day, and happy early Easter. Thank you. Thank you. And don't be scared, come up. We're gonna, I don't know, did everyone get a raffle ticket, by the way? Okay, so then we're gonna because we have different raffles here, and I'm just gonna have the resources. So let's see. Let's go.
Make sure you get some, we don't want to put all this stuff out.
Yeah. Please, yes, please take, they're there for a reason. Please take the resources, right? Because they're all here for a reason. And sí, Jessica, mucho gusto. Bien, ¿y usted? Oh, no se preocupe. Vi a gente que llegaron tarde, eso está bien. Por eso que yo puse una hora específica, porque yo sé que personas llegan tarde.
Sí, pero quería venir.
Oh, sí, va. Sí, no se preocupe. Sí, no se preocupe, por supuesto.
I'm in Rockville. Oh, Rockville. Yeah, I'm actually. Did you drive? Yeah. Oh my goodness, you have to drive. Oh, I got here yesterday. Okay, yeah, thanks. Yeah, and I have my virtual card. I would love for us to stay connected. What population do you work with? Yeah, definitely need that. I do. It's convenient. I mean, I do have like regular cards, but I don't really carry them. I switch my purse out, so I don't carry them enough to be like, oh, let me go get my card. So I think it's convenient just having one on my phone, because it's like everybody has a phone. You walk up, tap my card, and there's all my info. Yeah, you definitely should, because that was free. I think there's another one that's called Hi Hello. I think my mom uses that. That's free also. So it's just convenient to have. When you run out of cards, you don't want to spend no more money. Yeah. I was starting off with women. It was supposed to be adolescents, but when I first started, I've transitioned from just women to now adolescents and adults, women and men. So 13 is my youngest, and then I go up to, I'd say 35, 36. Yeah, I don't really have a I just tell people, like, you're my mom's age? No. Okay. I can barely parent her, so I can't help you. Unfortunately, I cannot help you. Yeah. And I work with anxiety, depression, life transitions, things like that. Some trauma work does come up, but not too much. I do, yes. I take Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, Cigna. I'm waiting to get handled with United Healthcare, but that's taking time. But I also do self-pay. Virtual only. Yeah, so I only recently transitioned to doing my practice full-time in August. I've always had it part-time. So when I started off, I started my practice, but I was working full-time too. But in August, I transitioned to full-time practice. So I've been building. Thank you. Yeah, definitely been trying to build, but it takes some time. It takes time. Are you just at your practice, or are you just Congratulations, yes. Everybody's stepping out and doing practice. I mean, you have to at some point. Like, I'm pouring all this work and energy into y'all stuff. What about me? What about my practice? Yeah, that's good. Well, I definitely hope that we can stay connected. Make sure I got your info, so I will make sure that we stay connected. Yeah. Nice to meet you too. And drive safe if you're going back today or okay, yeah, enjoy the weather. Enjoy the beach. You too. Thank you.
Anybody lives in Virginia?
I don't think so.
Because my stepson, his last name is Drummond.
Really? I don't think I have any family. No, not that I know of. Not that I know of.
So do you practice locally?
Yes, I'm in South Carolina. I live in Rock Hill though, but I practice in all of the state of South Carolina, so I can see anybody anywhere in South Carolina. And I'm about to transition to seeing people in North Carolina too, so I'll be opening up to South Carolina and North Carolina very soon.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
This was great.
Yeah, this was
awesome.
really nice. I thought I heard someone say that's the pastor when you came in.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, this is really nice. Thank you so much for. Of course, I know Jessica. Yeah, she started this, but of course, having all of us here is amazing.
Oh, it's really good. I heard a while ago, and I used to work at some church, and they have they actually bought a property across the street from the Conway Hospital, and they joined together with some big money from Japan. They put everything together, they put the whole plan, and they sold it. They were going to have more beds for mental health in Conway Hospital.
So what's there now?
Apartments for the kids. They sold the whole place.
And of course that stuff is needed. Like you need stuff like that.
Who's the guy that shot somebody making a movie? What's his name? Remember he was an actor. There was an accident. They had real bullets in the gun and they killed him.
Okay, while everyone's doing and talking, keep talking, because I'm gonna call by numbers, right? And do the raffle first. We're going for a $50 Costco gift card. So they're one of our sponsors. So let's see.
I was told that every pizza said $50. I said, what? I need it.
Okay, I got number ending in 021.
You're wonderful, though. Thank you.
021.
Who has 021?
$50 gift.
Hey!
You, oh God bless you!
Right here.
I don't know. I think you should be giving it up to someone else.
What? Are you sharing? Are you sharing? I said no.
I was told sharing is caring. That's right, right? Is this it?
Yes!
Hey!
Yay! There you go. Now we have a $25 Publix gift card. We have a few of those. So let's see now.
Let me get my card just in case.
Woo. 011. Who has number 011?
No, not right now. Someday I will.
Let me.
011.
011 here. This is a $25 gift card for Publix.
Wow.
There you go.
Are you sharing?
Okay, so now I also have here, let me pull this up. I got 2 all access passes to Wonderworks. Okay? So let's see. Okay, have faith, let go of fear. Come on. Okay, I have number 029. Oh, look at you! Yes!
For 2?
Yes, for 2. This is
Are you sharing?
Okay.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, the next one that I have here, because we have, let's go to the next $25 Publix gift card, because we have a lot of raffles, so. Who has number 026? You're fine, here you go. Here's a Publix. Yes, you guys, it's okay, there you go. A $25 Publix gift card. Now, I have, for those that love Puerto Rican food, a $25 gift card to Papi Gal Puerto Rican food truck, okay? Hey, so let's see. I suggest, I would have gotten more than one raffle ticket, by the way. There's too many chances to win. Let's see, 005. This is a qualifier. Here you go.
You sharing?
2 in a row. So let's start going around here too.
You sharing?
She said, all right.
So we have a few here. We have a lot of baskets actually, and one of them. Yeah, and then I want to let you know there's coupons here for other businesses as well. So make sure before you leave to check it out. So we're gonna give this beautiful basket here of flowers, right? And this is Andrea, she has her own flower business, okay? And then we're gonna give it with a coupon, and then we're gonna give it with one of these little swag bags, things that have from Create Creations. So the number that I have here, can you hold this one for me? I have 003. Who has 003? Oh, there you go. Oh, happy Easter. Here's your little Easter basket. Here. Okay. So now, this is from Diane. She's been very generous. She's right here. She donated this gift basket. This is for, if you win it and it's a man, you can give it to your significant other. Just saying, or your daughter. Tomorrow's Easter. This could be a nice Easter basket. Just saying. So let's see, what number do I have here? I have 029. Este salió de 029. Why? Oh, I thought I left it on the side. 028. Here, for teacher. Thank you. Now, perfect. Now we have here a NAMI book here. It's called You Are Not Alone, The Guide to Navigating Mental Health. And then we have another one of Create Creations, their bags as well, that we're gonna raffle out here. And then, everyone give me one of those bags with another bag. So let's see here. from Diane. So let's see. The next number I have is 08. Oh, God bless you. Mira esto. Esta, sí.
Tienen que compartir.
Okay, so now we're gonna go and get, because I have more of public some gift cards. I have, I think, what, 2 left? Here, yes. So let's see the next one. 014. Lauren, here you go. And let's give me one of them back. Yes.
Not a bad place to work. Yes.
Perfect. So right. Now I have another, the last Publix gift card here. So let's see. 004.
Oh, that's me.
In the bottom here. Here's your Publix gift card. You're welcome. Perfect. So we have that. Okay. So we have some here. Okay. The next, there's some coupons here as well. So we got we're gonna give a Mary Kay bag with one of these. Others is from Create Creations. They make a lot of like branding, beautiful earrings and things that they donated that we put in the bag, so I love it. And then we're gonna give one of Diane's bags too, and then we're gonna give a 15% coupon off for Peace and Mixtures as well. So let's see who's the next winner. 025. There you go. Yay. There you go. And then here. Yeah. There you go. No problem. Now I have Peace and Mixtures. This is Aroma Therapy, Bath, and Body Detox. 30% off. Okay, so let's see. And then let's see who gets this. And then with a little bag, let's see. I have 010.
Right here.
Oh, there you go. Another reason I come back to Myrtle Beach. Yes. Here you go. Perfect. And then, oh my gosh. Oh, and for the same company, which I have to write, there's a $25 gift certificate. For the same company, and we'll get that with one of the bags. So, let's see. 007. Oh, yes! Happy Easter. God bless you. You're actually the name of the company. Oh, why am I giving you the ticket? And here, this is a gift. This is good too. There you go, a gift voucher. Okay, and I'm trying to see at my list and see, because we have food in the front. Okay, so I have 3 more bags to give out. Okay, we're coupons and certificates. So let's see the next number. Here, 006. Oh, here you go. Yay. You're welcome. And then another bag here, 016. Here we go. Woo! You're welcome. And then I have one more. So let's see who's gonna be the last one for our little. Let's see. Okay. Oh, 023. Yay! Here you go. 023. Here, take these coupons also. As Thank you. So, if you guys need anything else, here, this is the Daughters of Both Sons table. We have our therapists, like some of our therapist information. If you're looking for culturally aligned care, we can connect you with that as well. We have both in Spanish and English, en inglés en español. We have the flyers here. I know we passed out the bags, the goodie bags. We were sponsored to Coca-Cola, Dunkin' Donuts. There's donuts in the front. There's soda. There's Coke, Sprite, Coke Zero. And then Fiesta Mexicana, they donated as well, appetizers. So they're in the front. So I thank all of you. This was a great event, and thank you for coming, and happy Easter. Thank you.
Did you get a wristband? I did, thank you. You were doing a selfie or a body picture? A body?